What's up guys, it's English Dan. This is the Pixel 5. As you know, I got this on Saturday. I've been using it for the last 5 days. I don't want to call this a review because I don't think it's possible to review a phone in 5 days, but I have been using this constant since I got it last Saturday, and I want to give you my first impressions on what I think of the new Pixel 5. Welcome back guys, so yeah, English Dan, back with the Pixel 5. Pixel 5 comes out on the 29th of October I believe, and it's going to be $699. So obviously a bit of a step down in price for Google when it comes to their premium devices, which is a good thing if you ask me. So straight off the bat, I'm just going to say this, like the Pixel 4a, the Pixel 5 gives me really strong Nexus vibes. And I loved the Nexus devices. Don't get me wrong, I've loved the Pixel devices too. But the Nexus devices were just outstanding for the price point. And the Pixel 5 really reminds me of that. It's like, and I said this about the 4a again, it's like the spiritual successor to the Nexus 5. And I love the Nexus 5. So okay, let's talk about the device a little bit. So it's got a Snapdragon 765G. Before people moan, you wouldn't even know. You would have no idea that this didn't have an 865 in it. This thing can do everything, including better battery. It's just such a fast thing. It doesn't get bogged down by anything, you know. Or Best Buy, everything opens up. It's nice and quick. Everything, look, see? Everything scrolls everywhere. It's not untidy. It's not messy. See? You wouldn't know. Everything loads in super fast when it comes to the 765G on this device. I think the 765G has been really the way to go for a lot of manufacturers this year, because the premium price on the 865 on some devices just hasn't been worth it. And I like I say, unless you're gaming, that's probably where you're going to see the most difference. But I don't game. And I know people that do game, and they game on a 765G with no issues whatsoever. But you might see some more issues on gaming. So I just want to put that out there. As for regular media use like me, music, movies, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, emails, whatever, this powers through it, no problem. I wouldn't know that it had the 765G in here. So that's out of the way. UFS storage, 128 gigabytes of it as well. So plenty of base storage in the Pixel 5 this time. No more 64 gig and struggling. They went all out with the 128 gigs of UFS storage as well. So it is actually faster storage, which is another nice thing. It also has a OLED display, which is a 90 Hz refresh rate. So you do get that smoother animation as you're doing things that require higher frames. It's also full HD, so it's 1080p. I know people are going to be like, oh, well, we wanted Quad HD. Well, you wouldn't know. Again, I mean, I obviously I'm an older guy, I'm in my mid-40s now, so my eyes aren't quite as sharp as some people's, but I've got a Fold here, and this has got a QHD screen on the front, and let me do this. Get the brightness down to where it was, but for me, I can't discern the difference between the two, if you know what I mean. This might be a bit brighter because of the brightness, things like that. But this is a QHD panel. This is a full HD panel. I can't tell the difference. Details look great. Blacks look really black because that's OLED for you. Nice and contrasty. This is turned down right now. I mean, I could turn it all the way up, but it'll probably blind you. So that's it, full blast, but yeah, you see, it just blows everything out because of the camera. It does get plenty bright. So yeah, full HD. You do have the hole punch camera in the top. Let's turn that back up a little bit more. Hole punch camera, and it is in the right place. I hate it, like on the Samsung phone, the hole punches are right in the middle of the displays. I don't understand why you would do that, because it's just in the way. It's right at the top, and it just looks like a hole, and it's just not a good place for it. For me, this top left is perfect, because when I hold my phone, top left is down, bottom left. So I don't notice the hole punch display. So they've done a real good job putting that there. Thank you, Google. What else can I tell you about this device? It's got a 4018 mAh battery. I'll get more onto that in a little while, but let me tell you, this thing is good when it comes to battery life. USB-C charging, it's got stereo speakers. As you can see with the screen as well, it's got a symmetrical bezel all the way around, and it's really slim. You don't have a little higher for the chin or a little higher for the forehead or anything like that. You'll also notice there's no infrared cameras in there for Project Solid like was on the Pixel 4. There's no like infrared face detection or anything like that. It works off the rear mounted fingerprint sensor. There is no in-screen fingerprint sensor, and I'm okay with that, and I'm okay without Face ID. I prefer the rear fingerprint sensor, and I'll get onto that as well shortly. It does have stereo speakers. The way it works is most of your sound comes out of the lower speakers. With it having this symmetrical bezel around it, it does have the sound coming out of the screen. Do they call it a piezo speaker? Something like that. But the sound comes straight out of the screen. So it is a little off kilter, let's say. More of your volume does come out of the bottom set of the speakers. And it's not quite as loud at the top, but it still sounds pretty decent. That is probably one of the more weaker points about it, the way that's set up, but I'll also get onto that in a second. Now, you've got a front-facing camera, which is 8 megapixels, and it's got an f.20 aperture, 83% field of view, so it's not bad. It does do low light portrait mode this time, so portrait mode's always been great on Google, but as soon as it gets dark it can get to be a bit of a struggle and gets quite a lot of noise. Well, this does like a night mode, low light portrait mode on the selfie camera as well as the main camera. And the main camera on these, you got 2 cameras this time, but they don't have the telephoto or the zoom camera. So what they've gone for this time is a 12.2 megapixel dual pixel camera, and it's a f1.7 with a 77 degree field of view, and then they've gone with a 16 megapixel ultra wide, and that's new to the Pixel. We didn't get ultra wide on any of the others, we just got the telephoto, and that is f2.2 with a 107 degree field of view. So it's not the widest, but it's wide, and it does give you some really nice wide angle shots. The low light portrait mode also works on the main camera. There's also another feature on the main camera when it comes to video called cinematic pan, and what that does is when you're swooping across, so you're going across with the camera, it'll slow everything down by 2 times, and then it'll stabilize it, and it looks fantastic. It looks cinematic the way it's meant to. Also, the cameras on this time can do 4K 60, which is nice. You get 4K 30 as well, obviously, and 1080 and all the other stuff. So you do get a really good camera setup. Now, obviously, for photographs, the Pixel's been king for a long time, and it's going to be king again because the photographs on this are good. Don't get me wrong, the competition are catching up, but the Pixel is still leaps and bounds ahead. Well, maybe not leaps and bounds, but they are still definitely ahead of the pack when it comes to photography. They have improved on the video, and the stabilization on the video is like eerily good. The stabilization makes it look like you're actually using a gimbal. On the front facing camera as well, you can only do 1080 and 30 frames a second, so I just want to throw that out there. The 4K 60 is for the rear camera, not the actual selfie camera. The actual Pixel 5 does have 3 microphones on there as well, and it does pick up your voice quite well. Whenever I've called anybody, they've said, yeah, you sound fine when it comes to actual background noise and things like that. It does come in 2 colours. The colour I've got here is the new Sword of Sage colour. Sword of Sage, whatever. But it's like a green colour, and for me, it looks great. It's very clean. I like the way Pixel have made a very clean phone here. It's all one piece. I'll get more onto that in a second. Obviously, it comes with the latest Android 11 as well. So it's a really good package. Very, very good. I think I said 4080 on the battery. It's actually 4000 on this one, sorry. So yeah, 4000 milliamp hour battery. So let's talk about what I really like about this phone. There is a lot I like about this, and one, like I was just saying, is the design. I love the way that Google have gone really clean with this. There's no garish marks on the camera to say 16 megapixel or ultra wide or AI this, or they've just left it as the square block, just left it how it is. It does have the Google logo. Google logo complements the power button, which is also metal, and they're a dark green colour, but they're like a shiny metal. So yeah, nice accent touches when it comes to the power button. The body on the Pixel 5, unlike the 4A and the 4A 5G, is actually recycled aluminum, so you are getting an all-metal build. So unibody build as well. There's no horrible seams where they've had to press two pieces together with a frame. It's actually all one piece, and that helps it feel really good in the hand. Now, it does have wireless charging as well, and it does reverse charging. So reverse charging is when you got a watch or your Pixel Buds, you can drop them on the back and they will start charging. But it also has wireless charging too. And now you're probably thinking, well, how does it do that if it's a metal phone? Well, what I believe, and I was reading this up online, is there's a piece that's been cut out of the back of the phone, out of the aluminum, and then they put a resin panel inside there that's the same thickness as the aluminum, and then they painted it over with this finish that they've got here, so you can't tell, and you really can't. You wouldn't know that there's a resin panel underneath this. The paint they use, it's like an acrylic paint, I suppose, I don't know, but it doesn't feel like metal. Kind of feels plasticky, but it doesn't feel like cheap plastic or anything. It's like a premium feel to it. You can see there's the rear fingerprint sensor. Love this thing. This thing is fast. This fingerprint sensor, this is why I like the rear fingerprint sensors. They're just so quick. I mean, I press that, you get a slight little, like a little small vibration, and on it comes. For me, you could do that on every phone. Rear fingerprint sensor. I know people like them when it comes to them being in the display, and yes, they're a lot better than they have been, but they're still not as accurate or as fast as what a rear fingerprint sensor is. Dedicated fingerprint sensor. So that's very good. When it comes to using this device every day, there is a difference, and like I was saying before, there's no speaker at the top because you've got these uniform bezels, very small, and the sound when you're making the call does come through the screen. And the way that works is, the way I found is I have to place my ear about here, and that's where I get the best volume. It did take me a couple of days to get used to that. Like I say, I can hear everybody very clear, but it is a very different sound when you're making a call. It's very clear, very precise, but not that phone calls ever have depth, but if they did, it removes all depth out of it. But it is still very clear and very easy to hear the person on the other end, and they do say the same about me, and cuts out a lot of the noise. So great when it comes to phone calls, because after all, it's a phone, and that is pretty important. When it comes to using this for media, it's fantastic. Let's play a video. Ooh, no, we better not play music. We'll play a video, one of my videos here, and we'll see. This is the speakers on full blast. They are stereo.
Phone, actually. Same sage green Google Pixel 5. It's a soft velvet, very easy to put the phone into here.
Now,
just grab it.
With this, the sound is coming out of here more than what it does on this side, for obvious reasons. That this is coming through the screen, this is coming directly out of the bottom of the phone. So if that bothers you, that might be an issue for you, but I don't find it to be an issue whatsoever. But yeah, when it comes to media, it's great. I love it. It's just so good to use. I mean, let me just play that again. You can also zoom out like this, and this is what I was saying. This hole punch camera, it just isn't in the way when it's down in the bottom there. So great call by Google. So let's talk about battery life. Battery life on this is spectacular. The 765G is such a powerful but economical chip, and you wouldn't know, like I say, you wouldn't know that you were not using an 865. This thing is quick. Very, very quick. It loads everything in, loads the screens in, no problem. Go on to Twitter, it'll load all that in. Everything just super smooth. You would not know that this didn't have an 865 in it. Obviously, you get 5G with a 765 as well. 5G works on it just fine. Obviously, 5G isn't great in the United States right now, but it's there, and it's obviously going to improve, so it helps future-proof the phone somewhat. So 5G works just fine. Battery on this, I'm getting anywhere from 7 to 9 hours of screen on time. Now, my Galaxy Note 20 Ultra was getting at best 5, and that's meant to be a productivity device. This absolutely smashes my Note 20 Ultra when it comes to battery life. So if battery is important to you, this will be great for you. You won't have any issues when it comes to this. And like I said, when it comes to the camera, the Pixel are for photography. They're head and shoulders. There'll be some pictures coming across your screen and you'll be able to see them. They are really, really good, very detailed. They still sit on top of the pile when it comes to the best camera in a phone. Now, like I said, video is a lot better and it's almost gimbal-like. Unfortunately, I can't find my video file, but when I do my full review, I will show you 4K and things like that. I will do a 4K video on this. I normally do 1080p on all my reviews, but I will do a 4K one on the full review for this so you can see what the 4K looks like. But it really does look like you've got the phone in a gimbal when you're walking around with this. It's so smooth. It's just, and it's not juttery either. You know, some of the OnePluses before, you get it and it jutters along a little bit, and this doesn't do it. It's just so smooth. It's just a fantastic device. I really do like it. The night portrait pictures are very good, like I mentioned. They do look really detailed. Obviously they're not as good as what they are when you take them in the daytime, but nothing comes close to taking a portrait picture at nighttime. Nothing comes close to the Pixel. Pixel nails it. It just looks very, very good. So, yeah, first impressions on this phone, I love it. I love how clean it is. I love how smooth it is. I love how lightweight it is. Coming from the monstrous Z Fold 2, I mean, the weight difference is insane. And obviously this is going to be heavier because it's like two phones strapped together. But, you know, even a Galaxy Note Ultra or something like that, it's really refreshing to be able to use a phone that's not really heavy. And then the other thing is this screen. I know I was talking about the screen before. It's a 6-inch screen, but it's in a smaller body. And I was worried that I wouldn't like the screen on this with it being only 6 inches. I like the bigger screen phones, but this has actually been really enjoyable to use because you can use it with one hand. It's nice to be able to just get around everywhere. And because, like I say, the bezels are so uniform and as far out as you can really get them, you get a really good media experience. So it's really not bothered me that it hasn't got a 6.5-inch to 7-inch screen on it. I'm really happy with this 6-inch display on here. And like I say, the colours are punchy, the blacks are obviously really black, the contrast is really good. It's just a very, very good phone. Let me play some music for you so you can hear what the speakers are like. This could be the downfall of the Pixel 5, is the actual speakers. They're not quiet as such, but like I was saying before with the audio, with me speaking, they do tend to come out at the bottom more because obviously it's coming through the screen at the top. But let's have a look. Let me go to my playlist and I'll just play any random music that's non-copyright music. Here you go. These are some of the things that I use for my speaker test. So we'll just go here. Let's forward it on a little bit as well. It sounds pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with the sound out of it. It's loud, not as much depth as what you can get on some other phones, but it still does produce quite good audio quality, I think, when you're listening to the speakers. But yeah, I'm quite happy with it. So overall, my first 5 days with this has been good. I have enjoyed it when it comes to making calls because obviously there's no speaker up here. I am having to put my ear in the middle of the screen, it's like the top half of the screen, the middle of the top half. Like I say, it did take a little bit of time to get used to that, but now I'm used to it, it's no problem. So, Pixel 5, first impressions, very impressed, really do like it. Even don't need to use a case with it, even though it came with a case. And the case does match, chameleon green, Pixel 5, that's the official case for it. I just like the feel of this. I don't feel like I'm going to drop it or anything like that. The actual texture, it's got like a slight texture on it, and it makes it so I can grip it a lot better. I've had no slips with it or anything like that. So yeah, Pixel 5, I'm really, really impressed with it so far. Don't want to call a review. That's why I've not gone too far in depth. It's just a first impressions. Come back next week, I'll have an in-depth review for you. But yeah, if you're looking at this, October 29th, $699, it should be on your radar. Alright guys, this is English Dan. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.